You aren't ruining your life. You're just losing your free time, your focus, and your genuine joy to a habit you secretly know you can't turn off anymore. Because you still go to work, pass your classes, and pay your bills, you've convinced yourself that scrolling until 3 in the morning, hitting the vape, or needing a screen open just to eat dinner is normal. You tell yourself it is just how you relax after a long day. But whether it's compulsive video gaming, scrolling through social media, watching porn, or relying on alcohol, functioning addictions are the hardest ones to break. They are tricky because your success on the outside hides the fact that you are hurting on the inside. Since nobody sees you failing, you assume everything is fine. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly how your brain uses your good grades or your steady paycheck to protect your worst habits. More importantly, you will learn how to finally take your control back. Let's look at where the line actually is. Liking video games or social media simply means you look forward to them when you have free time. Being addicted, however, means you feel a strange, anxious emptiness the second they are missing. The line between a fun hobby and a functioning addiction comes down to 3 hidden rules that you might be breaking without even knowing it. The first is mental real estate, which means the habit is stealing your thoughts. You might be physically sitting at your desk at school or work, but in your head, you are constantly calculating exactly how many hours are left until you can finally go home and get your fix. The second rule is a total loss of choice. This happens when you honestly promise yourself that you will only play a game or watch videos for a single hour, but your hand moves on autopilot and you suddenly find yourself staring at your screen until the sun comes up. Finally, there is compulsive shielding. This is the ultimate excuse your brain uses to keep you stuck. You look at your high grades, your steady paycheck, or the fact that you still exercise, and you use those achievements as a shield to prove to yourself and everyone else that you do not have a real problem. But deep down, you know the truth. To understand why this happens, you have to realize that your brain does not actually care about the video game, the drink, or the endless scroll itself. Instead, it only cares about the anticipation, which is the excitement of waiting for it to happen. When you dive into these habits, your brain releases a massive flood of a chemical called dopamine. Think of dopamine like a bright neon sign flashing in your mind, saving a location in your memory, and logging that specific behavior as a survival mechanism, or something you absolutely need to stay alive. For example, think about what happens when you open a social media app and spot a new notification light up your screen. That instant spike of dopamine tricks your ancient brain into believing that this quick hit of digital validation or attention from others is just as vital to your life as finding food or shelter. Your brain does not know the difference between a real-world reward. As you repeat this behavior day after day, your brain realizes it is being flooded with way too much dopamine. To protect itself from being overwhelmed, it naturally blunts its own receptors, which means it turns down its volume dials for joy. This is exactly why more of the habit becomes necessary over time. The exact same amount of gaming, drinking, or scrolling that used to give you a massive buzz now barely makes you feel normal. You start spending 2 hours, then 4 hours, and then whole weekends glued to the habit, but the spark is completely gone. At this stage, you are no longer chasing a fun high or enjoying yourself. Instead, you are desperately trying to escape the agonizing boredom and the low-energy crash of a desensitized brain that has lost its sensitivity to everyday things. You are just trying to get back to zero, using your habit like a medicine just to feel okay. People do not fall into functioning addictions because they are weak or lazy. They do it because they are trying to treat an invisible wound inside themselves. This deep drive usually comes from an identity gap, which is the painful friction and frustration between who you actually are right now and who you feel you should be in life. Your compulsive habit is not the core problem here. Instead, it is a highly effective emotional anesthesia, or a powerful numbing medicine that you use to quiet the small daily stresses, the heavy weight of loneliness, or the paralyzing anxiety of trying to figure out your future. When the real world feels too loud or disappointing, turning on a game or opening an app is the easiest way to turn off your thoughts. Telling yourself to just stop does not work, because the very part of your brain required to make that decision is the exact area that your addiction has turned offline. This area, known as the prefrontal cortex, acts like the steering wheel of your mind, controlling your logic and your willpower. When a heavy craving hits, your logical brain is essentially hijacked by your survival brain. You are not making a calm, conscious choice to slip up or go back to the habit. Instead, your brain is just executing a deeply ingrained automated reflex. It is running a program it has practiced 1,000 times before, leaving your willpower to sit helplessly in the passenger seat, while the habit takes total control. The true turning point out of this endless cycle begins the exact moment you stop fighting the urge and simply start observing it instead. When you fight a strong craving, you actually give it more power. So instead of blindly reaching for your phone, your drink, or your controller the second that boredom or heavy anxiety hits, you have to try something completely different. You just pause for exactly 60 seconds. During that one short minute, you do not try to run away from the discomfort. Instead, you name the hidden emotion out loud. You look at the feeling and honestly say, I am feeling really lonely right now, or I am feeling stressed about my test tomorrow. By putting a name to the feeling, you take away its secret power. You break the automatic habit loop and step back into the driver's seat of your own mind. From there, you can just sit quietly and watch the heavy urge peak and then slowly fade away, exactly like a big wave crashing on the beach and rolling gently back into the ocean. To finally break a functioning addiction, you cannot rely on motivation or waiting for a sudden burst of energy. Instead, you must intentionally design your environment to make the bad habit much harder to get to than a better choice. You have to build walls between yourself and your vice. Pick just one specific action that you can do today. For example, you can pack up your gaming console and put it deep inside a closet after every single use, so you have to work hard just to set it up again. You can download an app blocker on your phone and have a trusted friend create a password that only they know. Or you can completely replace your late-night scrolling by putting a physical book right on top of your pillow before you go to school or work. By forcing your brain to work through these layers of friction and extra steps, you break the automatic reflex. You slow things down just enough to give your logical brain the time it needs to kick back in and make a smart choice. You will likely slip up along the way, but messing up does not mean you are back at square one. A temporary setback simply means you are learning a difficult new skill, and absolutely no one learns to walk without stumbling a few times first. Be kind to yourself when it gets tough. The exact same adaptable, highly capable brain that accidentally trained itself to run your addiction is entirely capable of changing direction. It can rewrite its old patterns and rebuild a life of genuine freedom.